When disaster strikes, it's too late to get prepared. Let's be blunt. Most people think it won't happen to them, and that's a dangerous mistake. You're watching this because you know better. Natural disasters, power grid failures, and civil unrest don't announce their arrival. 1 minute, everything is normal. The next, you're on your own. Your ability to survive hinges on what you do right now before the crisis hits. The Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, has a list of items they say are non-negotiable for your survival kit. This isn't about being paranoid, it's about being practical. Forgetting even one of these items could have serious consequences for you and your family. We're going to cut through the noise and show you exactly what the government experts say you absolutely need to have packed and ready to go. Don't wait until the sirens are blaring. Pay attention, because what you're about to see could be the difference between getting through a disaster and becoming a victim of one. Let's get into the 10 items FEMA insists you have in your emergency kit. Point 1. Master the darkness. Let's be direct. When a real crisis hits, the first thing to go is the power. The grid is fragile, and whether it's a hurricane, an ice storm, or something more sinister, you will be plunged into absolute darkness. This isn't a minor inconvenience. It's a crippling disadvantage that breeds panic and multiplies danger. FEMA doesn't list light sources as a suggestion. It's a mandate for survival. Without light, you are blind. Simple tasks like finding your supplies, avoiding a fall down the stairs, or treating an injury become nearly impossible. The darkness isn't just an absence of light. It's an active threat that can turn a manageable situation into a fatal one. A cheap flashlight from a dollar store isn't going to cut it. We're talking about robust, reliable tools. You need a powerful handheld flashlight, preferably one with a durable, water-resistant metal body. This serves multiple purposes. It illuminates your path, can be used to signal for help with a focused beam, and in a worst-case scenario, it's a solid object for self-defense. But a flashlight alone is a mistake. You also need a headlamp. Why? Because emergencies require you to work. You might be shutting off a gas line, carrying a child, or patching a window. You need both of your hands free. A headlamp gives you that freedom, keeping a steady stream of light exactly where you're looking. Trying to juggle a flashlight while performing a critical task is a recipe for disaster. Now let's talk power. Your high-tech lights are useless bricks without it. Relying solely on standard batteries is short-sighted. You must have a massive stockpile of extra batteries stored in a dry, secure location. But even that isn't enough. What happens in a long-term event? You need redundant power systems. This means investing in rechargeable lights that have multiple charging options. A solar panel is non-negotiable. A hand-crank charger is a backup for your backup. This isn't about convenience. It's about guaranteeing you have light on day 1, day 7, and day 30. Your ability to see is your ability to function. Losing that control because you didn't pack enough batteries or a crank charger is an amateur mistake you can't afford to make. Don't just get a light. Build a complete illumination system. Point 2. Your loudest voice when you have none. When you're trapped, injured, or separated from safety, your voice is your first tool. But your voice is finite. Yelling for hours is exhausting. It attracts the wrong kind of attention. And in an environment filled with the roar of wind, rushing water, or collapsing structures, it's practically useless. This is where the whistle comes in, and FEMA insists on it for a brutally simple reason. It is a force multiplier for your call for help. A whistle is not a toy. It is a high-decibel signaling device designed to cut through chaos. Its sharp, piercing sound is unnatural and universally recognized as a signal of distress. It carries farther than a human scream and requires minimal physical effort, conserving precious energy when you need it most. Imagine you're pinned under debris after an earthquake. You can hear rescuers walking nearby, but they can't hear your muffled cries. Your throat is raw, and you're losing strength. A few sharp blasts on a whistle could be the only thing that guides them to your exact location. This small piece of plastic or metal becomes the most important object you own. It's a direct line to survival. Don't settle for a cheap party favor. You need a P-less whistle, the kind used by referees and rescue professionals. These models don't have a small ball inside that can get jammed by water, dirt, or ice, ensuring they will work in any condition. They are designed to be loud, reliable, and functional when failure means you aren't found. Your strategy for whistles needs to be about accessibility. Having one buried at the bottom of your bug-out bag is poor planning. You need one on your keychain. You need one attached to the zipper of your jacket. You need one on a lanyard around your neck. Every member of your family, including children, should have one and know how to use the universal distress signal, 3 blasts in a row. It's a simple, effective piece of gear that costs next to nothing but has an infinite return on investment. Underestimating this item is a critical error. In a world where you might be invisible, a whistle makes you audible. It's your best chance of being found when you can't be seen. It's not just a tool, it's your lifeline. Point 3. Secure your airspace. When disaster unfolds, the very air you breathe can become your enemy. Earthquakes throw up clouds of pulverized concrete and asbestos. Wildfires generate thick smoke and toxic ash that can travel for miles. Industrial accidents can release chemical agents into the atmosphere. In these scenarios, your lungs are the first and most vulnerable target. FEMA's recommendation for a dust mask isn't about comfort. It's about preventing you from choking on the environment itself. A single breath of the wrong substance can incapacitate you, leading to respiratory failure or long-term health problems if you even survive the initial event. Protecting your ability to breathe is not optional. It is fundamental to staying conscious, mobile, and capable of making life-saving decisions. Forget those flimsy, single-ply paper masks. They are functionally useless in a real disaster. What you need is, at a minimum, an N95-rated respirator. The N95 designation is not a marketing gimmick. It is a government standard from the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, NIOSH. It means the mask is certified to filter out at least 95% of airborne particles, including the fine dust and droplets that pose the greatest threat to your lung tissue. Having anything less is gambling with your respiratory system. You should have multiple N95 masks for every person in your household. They are disposable, and in a prolonged event where the air remains contaminated, you will need to change them out. Your preparedness should go even further. For more severe threats, like dense smoke or the potential for chemical vapors, you must consider upgrading to a half-face respirator with replaceable cartridges. These provide a much better seal around your face and allow you to use specific cartridges designed to filter out organic vapors, acid gases, and other chemical threats. This is not overkill. It's a tiered response to a scalable threat. You must have these masks readily available in your home, your car, and your go bag. When the air turns toxic, you will not have time to go searching for them. Your ability to function will be measured in seconds. Without a reliable way to filter the air you breathe, you become a static victim, unable to act and unable to escape. Don't let your survival end with a single breath. Control your airspace. Point 4. Your analog lifeline. Let's get one thing straight. Your phone is not a survival tool. It's a fragile piece of glass and silicon that depends on a complex, vulnerable infrastructure. When a real emergency hits, an earthquake that tears up fiber optic cables, a solar flare that fries electronics, or a deliberate attack on the power grid, your GPS will be a dead brick. Your digital maps will vanish. You will be navigationally blind in a world that has suddenly become hostile and unfamiliar. This is why FEMA's recommendation for physical maps isn't a quaint suggestion. It's a command. Relying on technology for direction in a crisis is a fatal form of complacency. When the cell towers go down and the satellites stop talking, a piece of paper will be more valuable than a $1,000 smartphone. You need to build a comprehensive map kit, and it starts with your local area. Get a detailed street map of your city. Not a flimsy printout from the internet, but a laminated, waterproof map that can survive being rained on, shoved in a pack, and raid in stressful conditions. You must study this map before you need it. Identify primary and alternate evacuation routes. Pinpoint the locations of hospitals, police stations, and potential emergency shelters. Mark choke points like bridges and tunnels that will become impassable. Then expand your scope. You need regional and state-level highway maps. If you have to evacuate on foot or by car, you need to know how to get out of the disaster zone without relying on a digital voice telling you where to turn. Beyond standard road maps, you need to think like a true survivor. This means acquiring topographical maps of your surrounding area. These maps show you the terrain itself, elevation, water sources, and vegetation. If the roads are blocked, you might have to move cross-country. A topographical map will show you the path of least resistance, helping you avoid steep inclines or impassable terrain. It will show you where to find streams for water. This is advanced-level navigation that separates those who are prepared from those who are merely hoping for the best. Having a compass, and more importantly, knowing how to use it with your map, is non-negotiable. This isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's about understanding your environment so you can make strategic decisions when your life depends on it. Your GPS makes you a passive follower. A map and compass make you an active navigator in control of your destiny. Point 5. The key to your food supply. You've done the right thing. You've stockpiled weeks, maybe months of canned food. You have tuna, beans, vegetables, and stews, a fortress of long-lasting, calorie-dense sustenance. But in a grid-down scenario, a brutal reality sets in. That fortress of food is a prison if you can't get inside. Your electric can opener is now a useless piece of plastic. You are surrounded by food you cannot access. This is the absurd and potentially deadly situation you will face if you overlook one of the most fundamental tools in emergency preparedness, the manual can opener. FEMA doesn't list this as an accessory. It's the key that unlocks your entire food strategy. Without it, your carefully planned stockpile is just a collection of heavy, inedible metal cylinders. Don't be a fool and think any cheap can opener will do. The flimsy dollar store models are prone to breaking under the best of conditions. In a high-stress emergency, where your hands might be cold or shaking, a weak tool will fail you. You need to invest in durability. A heavy-duty, gear-driven manual can opener is a solid choice for your primary kit. But redundancy is the cornerstone of preparedness. You also need a P-38 or P-51 military-style can opener. These tiny, simple pieces of steel were designed for soldiers in the field. They are virtually indestructible, take up almost no space, and can be attached to a keychain or dog tag. There is no excuse for not having several of these stashed in your kits, your car, and your pockets. Forgetting this simple tool is an unforgivable rookie mistake. Your planning needs to go beyond just owning the tool. You have to practice with it. If you've never used a P-38 before, a blackout is not the time to learn. You need to build the muscle memory so you can open a can quickly and safely in the dark. This is about ensuring your most basic need, food, is met without fail. Consider it the final, crucial link in your food supply chain. You secure the food, you store the food, and you must guarantee access to the food. A powerful, reliable manual can opener isn't just a piece of metal. It's the difference between eating and starving when the world outside has fallen apart. It's the simple, mechanical certainty in a world of digital failure. Do not get locked out of your own food supply. Point 6. The morale machine. In a prolonged disaster, the physical threats are obvious. But the psychological threat, the slow, grinding erosion of your will to survive, is just as dangerous. The enemy is not just the storm or the blackout. It's the crushing boredom, the suffocating anxiety, and the sense of hopelessness that creeps in during long hours of uncertainty. This is especially true if you have children. Their fear and panic can destabilize an entire group. FEMA's recommendation to pack entertainment isn't about luxury. It's a critical psychological operation you must wage to protect your most valuable asset: your mental fortitude. Keeping morale high is not a soft skill. It is a hard requirement for long-term survival. A group that loses hope is a group that is already defeated. Your entertainment kit should be completely analog. It must require no batteries, no screens, and no internet. We're talking about tools of distraction and engagement. A simple deck of playing cards is a must. It's small, light, and contains endless possibilities for games that can engage a group of adults or a family for hours. A pack of dice is another versatile tool for countless games. For kids, you need to think specifically about their needs. Coloring books and crayons can provide hours of quiet, focused activity, giving them a sense of normalcy and control in a chaotic world. Small puzzles, comic books, or a favorite paperback novel are invaluable. The goal is to create pockets of normality and distraction that serve as a release valve for stress. It's about giving minds something to do other than dwell on the crisis unfolding outside. Don't dismiss this as trivial. For adults, a book or a challenging puzzle can be a form of meditation, a way to disconnect from the constant mental load of survival. For a group, a card game can reinforce bonds and encourage communication, preventing the kind of infighting and friction that can tear a group apart in a high-stress environment. These simple items are a strategic defense against despair. They are a way to manage the fear of children and maintain the sanity of adults. In an emergency, you will be fighting on two fronts: the physical and the psychological. Neglecting the psychological front is a surefire way to lose the war. Packing a few simple games is not about having fun. It's about deploying a tool to keep your mind and your group intact and functional. It's about manufacturing hope when there is none. Point 7. Become your own first responder. When disaster hits, the 911 system will collapse. Let that sink in. Ambulances will not be coming. Hospitals will be overwhelmed war zones. The minor cut that gets infected, the broken bone from a fall in the dark, the severe burn from a cooking fire. These are no longer simple injuries. They are potential death sentences. Why? Because in a crisis, you are the only first responder you can count on. FEMA's directive to have a medical kit is not about having a box of cartoon character bandages. It's about accepting the brutal reality that for a period of time, you are responsible for keeping yourself and your family alive. Professional medical help is a luxury you will not have. A pre-packaged first aid kit from the store is a starting point, but it's dangerously inadequate. You need to build a trauma kit, not just a first aid kit. This means going beyond simple scrapes and scratches. You need to be prepared to stop severe bleeding. This requires more than just gauze pads. You need Israeli battle dressings, compressed gauze, and most importantly, tourniquets. You should have multiple tourniquets, like the CAT or SOFT, and you must know how to apply them correctly under pressure. A person can bleed out in minutes. Fumbling with a tourniquet you've never touched before is not an option. You also need chest seals for penetrating chest wounds. In the chaos of a natural disaster or civil unrest, these injuries are a real possibility. Your kit must be customized to your family. Do you have someone with diabetes? You need to have a supply of insulin that can be kept cool and testing supplies. Does someone rely on an inhaler? You need backups. What about prescription medications? You cannot rely on pharmacies being open. You need to work with your doctor to have, at a minimum, a 30-day emergency supply. Beyond the life-saving gear, you need robust supplies for common ailments that become debilitating without treatment. Anti-diarrhea medication, pain relievers, antihistamines for allergic reactions, and broad-spectrum antibiotics if you can legally and safely acquire them. You need surgical tape, shears to cut away clothing, sterile gloves, and antiseptic wipes. This isn't about playing doctor. It's about having the tools to address immediate, life-threatening injuries and prevent a manageable situation from becoming a fatal one. Your medical kit is not an item on a checklist. It's your personal emergency room. Treat it with that level of seriousness. Point 8. Defend your territory. When the systems that keep society in order fail, you have to secure your own environment. Utilities that are normally safe can become active threats. A gas leak after an earthquake can turn your home into a bomb. A burst pipe can flood your shelter, destroying supplies and creating a health hazard. FEMA lists a wrench and pliers as essential because they are the keys to controlling your immediate surroundings. This is not about home improvement. It's about damage control. It's about having the physical authority to shut down threats when no one else is coming to help. To be blunt, without these tools, you are a passive victim in your own home, waiting for disaster to escalate. You need a multi-tool at a bare minimum, a high-quality one from a reputable brand, not a cheap knockoff. This should be on your person at all times. But that is just your backup. In your primary kit, you need a heavy-duty, adjustable wrench specifically for shutting off your gas and water mains. You must locate these shut-off valves now, before an emergency, and make sure the wrench fits. Paint the valve bright red. Practice the motion of shutting it off. In the panic of a real event, with the smell of gas in the air, you will not have time to search for the valve or figure out which way to turn it. This single action could prevent an explosion that would level your home and kill everyone inside. The utility of these tools extends far beyond shutting off services. A sturdy pair of pliers gives you the grip strength to bend, cut, and manipulate materials. You can pull nails, tighten bolts on a makeshift shelter, or strip wires to make a repair. They are an extension of your hands, giving you a level of mechanical advantage that is critical for improvising solutions. Think about prying open a stuck door, breaking into a damaged supply cabinet, or fixing a piece of essential gear. These are not tasks for bare hands. Your toolkit should also include a pry bar, a durable set of work gloves to protect your hands from injury, and a roll of duct tape. These items form a basic but powerful system for interacting with and controlling a damaged environment. They give you the power to fortify your position, make repairs, and neutralize threats. Underestimating the need for basic, robust tools is a critical failure in mindset. You must have the means to impose your will on your environment. Point 9. Plan for every family member. In your preparations, it is dangerously easy to focus only on the human members of your family. This is a grave error. Your pets are completely dependent on you for their survival. In a disaster, they will be scared, disoriented, and vulnerable. FEMA's guidance to include them in your plan is not a sentimental footnote. It is a critical component of a complete preparedness strategy. A crisis is not the time to realize you have no food for your dog or a way to transport your cat. Neglecting them will not only lead to their suffering and potential death, but it will also create a massive emotional and logistical burden on you, distracting you from other life-saving tasks. An unprepared pet becomes a liability that can compromise the safety of the entire group. Your pet's go bag needs to be as meticulously packed as your own. The absolute minimum is a 3-day supply of food and water, but you should aim for a week or more. Store the food in a waterproof, sealed container. Remember to pack collapsible, non-spill bowls for both food and water. You need a way to manage their waste. For dogs, this means a large supply of waste bags. For cats, a small, disposable litter box and a container of lightweight litter are non-negotiable. An animal forced to relieve itself inside your shelter creates an unsanitary, disease-ridden environment that is a threat to everyone. You must pack any medications your pet relies on, along with a pet-specific first aid kit. This should include items like antiseptic wipes, gauze, self-adhesive bandages that don't stick to fur, and a styptic pencil to stop bleeding from a nail injury. Beyond the basics of survival, you need to plan for transport and control. You must have a sturdy leash and a well-fitting harness for a dog. For a cat or small animal, a secure, hard-sided carrier is essential. In a chaotic evacuation, a panicked animal will bolt. A carrier or leash is the only thing ensuring they stay with you. You also need to have proper identification. Your pet should be microchipped, but you cannot rely on that alone. Have a collar with ID tags that include your name and cell number. Keep a printed photo of you with your pet in your wallet and in their kit. This is your proof of ownership if you get separated. Finally, pack a comfort item, like a small blanket or a favorite toy. This can help reduce their stress and anxiety, making them easier to manage. Your pets are family. Planning for their survival is not optional. It is your duty. Point 10. The voice of command. When all else is silent. When the power grid goes down, society as you know it ends. There is no internet. There are no television news updates. Your cell phone is a useless relic. You are isolated in an information vacuum, blind and deaf to the escalating dangers or potential rescue efforts around you. This is one of the most terrifying aspects of a true collapse. This is why FEMA's directive to have an emergency radio is one of the most important on the entire list. An emergency radio is your only link to the outside world. It is the one tool that can deliver life-saving intelligence, from evacuation orders and shelter locations to weather warnings and official government broadcasts. Without it, you are guessing, and in a survival situation, guessing gets you killed. Your radio cannot be dependent on the grid. Relying on a battery-powered radio is foolish unless you have a stockpile of hundreds of batteries. The only acceptable solution is a radio with multiple redundant power sources. It must have a hand-crank generator and a solar panel. This ensures that as long as you can turn a crank or have a sliver of daylight, you have access to information. This is not negotiable. When you select a radio, it must have the ability to receive NOAA weather radio bands. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration broadcasts 24/7 alerts for everything from tornadoes and hurricanes to civil emergencies. This is your official early warning system. Being able to tune into these frequencies gives you a critical head start. Your radio strategy should also include more than just receiving information. While not a strict FEMA requirement for a basic kit, a truly prepared individual understands the need for two-way communication. A set of high-quality walkie-talkies, GMRS or ham radio if you are licensed, allows you to communicate with your family or survival group if you become separated. It allows a party to go on a scouting mission and report back findings without having to return. Furthermore, your radio can be a morale booster. In the crushing silence of a blackout, the sound of a human voice from a distant AM/FM station can be a powerful reminder that you are not completely alone. It is a psychological anchor in a sea of uncertainty. Do not make the mistake of seeing this as a simple gadget. It is your lifeline to command, control, and communication. It is your one-way intelligence briefing from the outside world when all other lines have been cut.